Welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. First off, I hope many of you had a safe and thankful Thanksgiving here in the United States. And hey, the calendar's turned. It is now December. So let's continue our conversation around business planning for 2021. And if you did not watch my preceding episode where we did part one, I highly recommend you go back and make sure you review that. It will give you the context for our continued conversation inside of this episode. So, where I want to focus for today is planning to do the plan and then prepping, which is all part of it, right? So, what most advisors do when they think about business planning, and again, you're going to come into this from maybe you're at a firm and they're going to give you some, a spreadsheet or a couple pager, right? The numbers, or you're going to kind of think about it in your own head because that's what you've done in the past, several years, or you jot some stuff down, or you get, basically a spreadsheet out and you kind of punch some numbers in and we think we've got it figured out. And what I have found is that those advisors who really truly elevate economically, personal professional development, I think to me, it's also really important that from a congruency standpoint, so think about this. As an advisor, chances are you're going to want your clients to either do a full blown planning process like Money Guy Pro, e-money, whatever, right? Or at minimum, like do a 1 or 2 page financial plan, which is cool too, right? Bottom line is there's a plan. There's goals, there's a vision, right? There's things we want to get done. What would happen if your clients came to you and said, "Hey, you're a business owner. Tell me about your business plan. What's your vision for your practice for the next 5 years? Can I see it?" How would you feel about that? So here's the thing. If we're going to ask our clients to do something, we better make sure we're congruent with that. And if we're not, we better take action to fix it. So that's part of the conversation, right? So instead of just kind of what most advisors do, they'll between Christmas and New Year's, maybe the first week of January, they'll sit down at their office at their desk, and they'll sit there and say, okay, what do I want to get done this year? Like it's like that. It's like in their mind, it's that simple. And to me, it's haphazard, and it produces a result that is forgotten within 30 to 45 days. So let's talk about planning to do the plan and prep today in this episode. So first off, where are we going to do this? My recommendation is not in your tactical environment. So tactical environment is just code for where you do your business. So in your office, if we're in COVID land, maybe you're in your home office, I probably wouldn't want to do it there either. Why? Because it's kind of where your brain is in this tactical mode, making calls, doing reviews, taking care of client stuff. There's an anchor and association to that. So I would want you to go somewhere that feels good. And in COVID land, somewhere that's also safe. So maybe like if you're working from home, maybe there's a porch or a sunroom, right? Or a different part of the house. Um, if I've got clients, for example, here we are, we're going to get ready to do our planning conference, our virtual conference on the 15th of December. And as I've talked to my clients, some are going to be doing it from, a nice environment in their home. Some have actually rented Airbnbs for a couple of days to do it there. Others are going to be sitting like depending on where you are in the country or in the world, I guess I should say. With I think 4 countries coming to our event in a couple of weeks. Outside on the porch, a deck, a patio, all those things count, right? But I want you in a good environment that's gonna be conducive to strategic thinking and strategic planning and getting outside your normal day-to-day box. That's the first thing we're gonna do, right? So where to do it matters. Not at your desk, not behind 3 monitors. Okay. The next piece is, and I'll, for those of you watching the video, so this is the actual workbook for this year. It is, not that I want to freak anybody out. It's about 80 pages long, right? And if you're watching this, here's all the modules. Here's all the work, basically, right? Chunking. So this is not about sitting down in like one session and kind of trying to blow through it all. In fact, when we've done it live, We've always done pre-work as a chunk. Then we've done day 1, day 2, day 3, and we've done sessions in between. So we're always going to chunk it out in a certain way, because I don't think most human beings have the brain. It's not about being intelligent, just how our brains work. To try to focus on something for hours and hours and hours without breaks is just a fool's game. So you want to chunk it out, and whether a couple hours here and there, and over time, right? I do not recommend that you sit down and try to blast it out in one session. I just think that's your brain's going to do. Your brain's going to go into let's get this done mode, not is this excellent, right? So we're going to chunk it methodically. The way like I said, I recommend even when we're doing our conference, starting on the 15th, we're doing 2 hour session break, 2 hour session break, 2 hour, like we're doing this over 4 days and not full days, like half days, because I don't want to push, I don't want to try to push too much on people. So you make sure you chunk it out. Next piece. Energy matters. So the other thing is you want to come into this energized. So this means good night's sleep, good nutrition, exercise in between. You want to be in a very positive, empowering state physically. If your body's in good shape, your mind's going to be in good shape. If you screw off and go out have a couple cocktails. Although with COVID, maybe that's maybe where everybody's gonna be locked in and we'll be in a good place in that regard. You want to make sure that you keep your mind, body, and nutrition in a good place. So, like for example, when we do our live planning events, every year, we do lunch, and I'm very particular about lunch. I'm kind of OCD about it. Like no carbs. I prefer no bread. God help me if there's cookies or any kind of dessert there. At catering wise, like I want lean protein, salad, stuff like that. Because I want to keep everybody's energy levels high. I want to keep everybody's brain functioning at a high level. So energy matters when you're doing this. So the bottom line is, if you're not feeling good or you didn't get a good night's sleep and you're just not into it, don't plow through. Just don't. You're not going to get the result you want. So what you really want to do is basically, and there's no magic here. So somebody says to me the other day, "Hey, how important is it that I have it done by January 1st?" I said, "Not really. There's no magic to January 1st. I mean, I don't want you to go into the third week of January without it being done, because I think then you give up the first month, which is a major month, which is not the topic for today's conversation. But I want you to really think about it, right? I mean, I want you to really kind of say, hey, if I get done by the 5th or 6th of January, I mean, I've got several clients who are not going to be joining us for our live event. They're going to do it in a masterclass format, starting New Year's. Totally cool with that. You know why? We'll have it locked down by the 5th, which I'm good with, Tuesday. So again, it's not about ramming through it, getting it done. It's about getting it done in a certain way, right? And energy is going to matter. So if you're not feeling good, we don't do it. So what does the process look like? So to me, what a process looks like is, first off, we do the prep. And our prep, which we're going to talk about, there's really 3 chunks to the prep. Chunk number 1 is, and it kind of looks like, again, who are doing the YouTube thing, you guys see, if not, on the other fine. So this is our prep work, right? It's our review and benchmarking. So inside the review and benchmarking, there are 3 areas that we want to focus on. And what most advisors do is they'll go into planning and you'll just, they'll kind of pull up their screens, right? Hey, how much rev did I do? How's, AUM, whatever's important to you. And then that's kind of their basis, going forward. And what you want to do is you want to debrief this current year. So, we do a debrief of 2020, and that debrief is going to look, it's going to have 3 elements to it. Element number 1 is it's going to have a narrative. So like what we do is that I have my clients do a narrative, like a 1 paragraph report. And if they're part of my masterminds, what we do is we gather as a unit, as a mastermind, and every member gives their oral report like you would give to a board of directors. Think of it like a 3-minute, hey, let me give you a report on my 2020 results. 2020 was a very challenging year. COVID, I mean, you just think about how you would write a narrative and give a little talk around that. We do that for 2 reasons. Number 1, it helps organize thinking. Number 2, there's a bit of journaling involved. And when human beings journal, it helps you get it out, get it on paper and make it real. See it for what it truly is, the facts, right? Very, very important. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to go into what we call KPIs, which are just short for key performance indicators. Any management consultant will know what that means immediately. And so what are some concepts of KPIs? How many new clients did you bring in this year? How much new money did you attract? How many referrals did you source? How many policies did you write? How much premium did you do? How many financial plans did you originate? I mean, there's, depending on situation, how many contacts did you do? I mean, how many review meetings did you hold? How many introductory meetings did you hold? I mean, there's a lot of things we can look at. I'm not gonna try to get into all of them here, but again, here's the YouTube thing, right, real quick, or the video. So these are some of the KPIs that we want to take a look at, right? That you want to, again, and if you're doing this for the first year with me, you're not going to have all this. So we're not going to go crazy trying to find it, but understand that there's some things you want to run your business around. And what I find interesting when people do that for the first time, there's these aha moments where you realize that, hey, I've done really well here. Yeah, you feel a lot better about things, but then you're like, man, I got all these massive holes that I've got to get my head around for the upcoming year. So all of a sudden you have a heightened sense of awareness of what needs to be done, right? And we want that. Then the third element is what we call our benchmarks. So there's 18 different benchmarks, from morning rituals to how well do you have a written daily game plan, to how often you review your business plan. There's 18 different markers there: referrals, marketing, branding, biz dev, all that stuff, client service. And I have we have our participants graded out 1 to 10. Why? What they need to do, approve. So again, the recap, review, and benchmarks are really there to set the stage so that the advisor has a very much a heightened sense of awareness, right? You want to have that. You don't want to just go into business planning in a vacuum, which most advisors do, by the way, and it's a mistake. And it's interesting. I got an email. Somebody watched the first episode of the series, and they're like, hey, tell me why I should believe in doing business planning. I work with a coach. They don't believe in business planning. I've had them for 5 years. Blah blah blah. And I'm cool with that. Hey, different strokes for different folks. My answer was, tell me how much you've grown your business the last 5 years, right? And I get an answer back, and it's like low single digits. I go, well, what's the vision here, right? And not that I'm spending a ton of time engaging like that, but I'm always curious because I care about this industry. And it was just fascinating. I said, well, look, part of your challenge is you don't have a game plan. You just don't. You're in what I call the more better game, which basically means I want to do more revenue and be better at what I do. Those are concepts. It's not a plan, right? And what's also fascinating about a lot of times when I talk to advisors, they can really tell me what they want to accomplish. Hey, this is where I want to be in 5 years. And they can tell me rev, household, team, AUM, if that's their game, stuff like that. Like they can really, they have a pretty good vision, right? But then I ask them all important question: what do you have to do every day to pull that off? What does the monthly game plan need to look like for you to pull that off? Who do you need to become to pull that off? How do we co-elevate the team members to pull that off? Now we get a little silence, right? See, and that's the point. Planning to me is not about, and I want you to kind of think about so what's our process look like? And I'm going to kind of walk you through it sequentially. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our review and recap, like I just outlined, right? And it's basically going to be this form here, right? You're going to do this prior to executing your planning process. You're going to go ahead and actually work on this and get clarity on what has already transpired, right? Once that's done and we lock that down and we're good, and you don't lie, you tell yourself the truth, you're where you need to be, then we look at it, and I kind of go, I like themes in the day, right? So think of like chunk number one is we're going to do some mindset work. Yeah, I mean the bottom line is this is a mindset game, and what a lot of advisors look at is they get caught up in the numbers, and I'm gonna call the I got to do is, well, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna my team do that, and they're like, no. I said, there's a thing before that, which is why. So what we have everybody do is we have them kind of take inventory of who they are today, and this is just a belief I have that has now been backed by experience and evidence. If you're, let's say, a $500,000 or even $1 million advisor, top line rev, right? And let's say you want to double your game. So the 500,000 person wants to go to 1 million, the million wants to go to 2 million, right? Just say that was kind of the vision. Doesn't matter timelines right now, just that's the concept. What most advisors do is they'll start thinking in terms of the recipe, as I call it. Well, how many new clients do we need? How much AUM do we need? And they kind of, what's the marketing look like? And that's part of the recipe, but that is not the main ingredient, which really freaks people out. Like, what do you mean? That's everything. No, no, no. See, if I'm talking to the $500,000 advisor, my comment's going to be, hey, I am now talking to the $500,000 version of you. What does the $1 million version need to look like? Conversely, same thing with the $1 million advisor. Hey, I'm talking to the $1 million version of you. What does the $2 million version look like? And when they think about look like, well, what do you mean? I say, well, what do you need to believe? What are your habits? What are your rituals? What are your values? What's your team culture? What's your self-image? What's your internal dialogue? To name a few. Because what those things are today is where you've gotten to right now. And if you're going to double, that's not going to get you there. Like, you have to evolve as a human being first. This is a personal development business. I've said that my entire coaching career, 3 decades plus. And when somebody gets that, they soar. And this is where we're kind of going to end this episode. I really want to drive this point home. The first part of the planning process is getting you right. Is figuring out what version of you needs to be built in order to pull off your goals. It's the man or woman first, the business second. And that's my hallmark in my process. Any coach or consultant can put numbers together. I can do it in 5 minutes for you. Marketing plan, no problem. Easy peasy. It's relatively, there's only so many different things you can do. But every human being's different. That's the secret sauce. When you can articulate where you have got to elevate in order to elevate your business, when you understand leadership is leading you first, leading your team second, leading your clients third. When you understand that and have defined that, everything you want for the next 12 months, the next 60 months, the next 10 years is now possible. Because you are now right. Advisors come to me and they say, oh, my business, I got to get my business organized, my team's a mess. I hear all these things. I go, wait, stop. You're a mess. You're disorganized because you're the leader. So businesses in our game take on, they're a mirror image of the psychology of the advisor. Period. There's not this alternative thing here that I could be screwed up and my business is going to run efficiently and effectively and grow. It doesn't happen. Unless you've got partners who protect you. Doesn't work. And that's what the truth is. So what you've got to decide is, are you ready to elevate? And not just go through some academic exercise. You don't need to be conscious for that. But you gotta, when people come into my world, one of the prerequisites is you better tell yourself the truth. Because if you're lying to yourself, there's no, what are we doing here? There's no purpose. Every advisor that I've ever met can be so much more. So much more. But yet we're afraid to go get it. Why are we afraid to go get it? It's the conversations in our minds. It's how we view ourselves. It's what we believe we deserve or what we're capable of. And that's the truth. Come join me December 15th. fabizplan.com. fabizplan.com. Until our next episode, be well, be safe, and I'll see you for episode 3 of our business planning process. So there you have it. If you really enjoyed watching this episode, go ahead and subscribe to the Magellan Network Show with Coach Joe here on YouTube. And remember, I'm always here to help you become a better entrepreneur, business owner, and financial advisor. With that, I'll see you next time on the Magellan Network Show with me, Coach Joe. Take care and goodbye.